Hello, I'm Dan, and I'm joined by Jackson and Clara. And today we're talking about, is Insatiable as insatiably terrible as everybody seems to think on the internet?
The answer is...
It's worse.
So I'm going to give a little bit of backstory for me, and then you guys can chime in with your backstory or your feelings or whatever. But I'll say that for me, I saw the trailer that got a lot of hate, right? Mm-hmm. Got a lot of hate. And my first impression before I knew there was hate was, this looks like a stupid show. Then I saw all the hatred, and I am sad because I did not agree with the hatred of the trailer. Sure. And I didn't want to agree that this show is as terrible as people think. But this show is really bad.
It's really bad.
This show is really bad.
It's as bad as you think it might be, and then it goes further.
Yeah, it's really not. It's not a good show.
And there's a lot of bad shows that I can say, like, oh, that's just not for me.
Yeah.
It's not my cup of tea. I just
or
tried.
like, oh, well, this just isn't meant to be a good show.
Right.
Like,
It's like, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah.
This is just
fun. It's just
poorly done.
Yeah, because so here's the thing. When I watched the trailer and everybody was all upset about like thinking it was fat shaming and stuff, I was like, this seemed, first of all, I know the showrunner says that she's gone through weight issues when she was in high school and stuff, and it was all about fueled by her rage that she felt. Mm-hmm. And that I think the idea here to a certain degree was supposed to be like a catharsis for people that are overweight, being able to get back at your bullies, even though obviously that's not a positive message. But there's a certain thing to be said about catharsis within an entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is,
like, I love me some catharsis.
Yeah.
I don't want you perpetuating the idea that, like, you like,
but you can only do it in the confines of the way they tell you to do it in the show. You have to become skinny to do it.
Well, see, that's the thing is, I didn't have a huge issue with the fact that she had to become skinny, because to me it was the discussion that the show seemed to be wanting to have is, let's talk about pretty privilege and let's talk about the fact that people treat her differently and why that is a bad thing. And it seemed from the trailers like, oh, that's a bad thing. Then also her anger is a bad thing. Yes, she'll do it, but ultimately maybe she'll learn a lesson or something.
I accept that.
Yeah, like to me that was
I actually don't accept.
I accept it as a thing that happens in TV shows, and it's a bad show, but I don't mind it.
I accept that as a tired trope that I've seen on a number of TV shows that doesn't add anything to the dialogue and that instead just perpetuates things that we already know are harmful. I accept it as that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel like people talk about pretty privilege as much as they should, though. I feel like that having
Mean Girls?
Yeah, but like,
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
It's enough for me.
I don't know. I feel like it feels different when it's someone who's like experiencing it and has anger. Like, I feel like there's a way to do the show that wasn't terrible. I feel like there's a way to be like, someone who's fed up with the bullshit of it.
The way I think to have done that is she decides she's had enough.
Yeah.
Uses her own anger to fuel her own revenge story and does what she wants to do.
Yeah.
And that can mean like she starts dressing in a way that like expresses her fashion sense.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, I'm pissed off because it seems like her sense of style changes immediately.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like something that evolves.
Another immediate thing is we don't even see her as fat
for more than
like
it was 8 minutes
3
in,
scenes,
something like
8
that.
minutes, yeah.
And I'm sure. So first, I want to quickly say we watched the first 2 episodes. That was enough for us. We could not continue.
We thought we were going to stop at 1. We had to see what was going to happen in the second episode because nothing happened in the first.
Well, she wasn't at school at all.
Plenty of other stuff happened, but it wasn't what the trailer showed, so we had to see more. We don't know what she likes besides Drew Barrymore movies.
Yeah. So she
That's
immediately.
a pretty big personality.
Apparently, it's all of it.
Like. If I was going to describe myself, it's like, well, I really like strawberry gum and Tom Hardy. And then you sort of know what sort of person I am, and you're willing to root for me.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, I can't even tell if they want you to root for her or not, because she's almost immediately vile. Yeah. Like, she's almost immediately like, I want to destroy everything. And like, yes, okay, I guess I can, on a basic human level, be like, oh, she was bullied, I feel bad for her. But there's nothing beyond like hearing about her being bullied that makes you like especially you don't like who she is now.
No.
Yeah, it's just like, there isn't that catharsis because there's no build up. It just suddenly she's horrible. Because that's the thing, when I watched the trailer too, I was like, oh, he's going to start with small things and it'll build up into this insane whatever. But no.
She's insatiable.
Immediately
she is insatiable. I say it 3 times, insatiable.
Was that it? Only 3?
Well,
I felt like it was more.
3 times in the pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
so
more.
I'll put this forward though. I feel like the show is so bad and so ridiculous that I am not worried about its bad messaging.
Yeah, because I don't think anyone wants to watch it. It's that bad.
See, now I don't agree with that. Everybody will watch.
Well, I
things
will
that are
watch it,
bad.
but I don't think it's gonna be like anything that
anybody watching
care
this show
for.
and taking away like I should follow this person's example has enough problems to begin with.
I agree.
Like
I agree.
Can I just share something that I think? So I follow this really great person on Twitter who is like about body positivity, but also very specifically about the sort of like anti-fat, like prejudice against fat people.
Yeah.
What's her handle?
And it is at your fat friend, but your is YR. So
okay.
she makes the point that Insatiable is made for
Teen audiences.
well, no, for thin people. So she says, Insatiable was made for you. It was made by and for thin people. It was designed to make you feel good, like your thinness is an accomplishment, like fatness is a failure, a reminder of the life you believe you'd leave if you let yourself go. And I mean, I think that's really true. I think even if, okay, let's say it doesn't, like, let's say you aren't watching it and you're like, now I want to starve myself, which that's a reasonable fear to have with a show like this. But like,
but I think it's such an extreme.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't even give you that idea to do that because there's nothing to root for in what she does.
Well, and also there's this. It's so far out of reality that I have. Like, it would be one thing if. Like, the other thing is, I think that they try to combat this. I'm not saying that they do a good job. They try to combat that idea in the early scene where she says, I haven't been eating since Tuesday, and she falls on her, like, the thing is, she was eating. She was on an all-liquid diet.
So the idea is, like, she was failing to lose weight until she had her jaw wired shut. That allowed her to lose weight, and now she can succeed.
Did you know that that's the only way to lose weight? And you can lose 70 pounds in 3 months if you wire your jaw shut.
If you just have a liquid diet.
But that's my point. It's like, no one's going to come away and go, you know what? I should wire my jaw shut.
Yeah, no, it really wasn't that sort of advertising.
I'm not sure, like, I'm not sure I'll make that sort of a statement. I think people can be moved to do things in different ways. I think that would be,
But also, you can be moved to, like, become a vampire from watching Twilight.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think the really annoying thing about this is that it solidifies, like, thin narratives about fatness that are harmful and, like, do lead people to have eating disorders or to feel really bad about themselves.
The harm in it, I think, is less of a problem than the fact that it just exists in general. It's not, to me, about the harm that it is perpetuating, but it's about the fact that we've seen this 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I don't care. You're not teaching me anything.
Yeah.
You're not showing me anything new. And it's not funny.
Yeah, okay, so that's the first thing that we can talk about. Not the first, but it's like, that's a really important point, is like,
It's
on top, like, I feel like people can argue against all sorts of bad messages.
Right, what's
if
bad,
in the
what
name
isn't.
of comedy, right?
Right.
This is in no way funny.
not even funny.
And I'm, like, open to extreme topics that
Yeah.
are, like, I'm open to comedy that's about extreme topics that most people wouldn't be okay with.
Absolutely.
This is not a funny show. We didn't laugh, like,
We
at
laughed,
all.
remember?
Well,
There was one joke, second episode, like, almost the end.
We were joking about laughing.
Oh, I thought that was like, they actually did a joke.
Well, that's the thing
One
is...
joke was happening.
The
And
thing
I was
is,
like, wow.
I can
You did
see
it.
people walking. I mean, and the thing is, obviously, comedy is subjective. There are going to be some people who find this funny, but I can
Comedy
also I
was
can
at,
see
like, an elementary school level.
yeah, I can see some people watching it because it's so bad it's good. Which is like, I don't feel like it was getting there by the end of the second episode. The first episode was not there.
Can I spoil a joke for the audience?
Okay.
Guys, they go to the hospital to see a guy, a male cis guy, right?
Yeah.
And they bring flowers that say it's a girl for it's the wrong flowers. Yeah.
I didn't know that you were going with that.
That one was like, that one got me. Oh, not at all. No, that one wasn't my funny one.
Yeah. I mean, because that's the thing. They're saying they're doing all this in the name of satire, in the name of black comedy.
Satire of what? Like,
I really don't know what their satirical statement is. Maybe one of all. Like, here's the thing. I don't feel like I can say that many definitive statements about the message overall because we didn't watch the overall thing. But I feel like I can say. I feel like you shouldn't have to watch the entire thing to get an idea of where they're going. And to get some sort of positive, like the first 2 episodes should not be so bad that nobody wants to keep watching to get the message.
There are plenty of shows where they say like you have to watch a few episodes for it to really get good.
Yeah.
And most of the time when I hear that, there are some that I've gone through and I've been you're right.
Yeah.
But when I hear that, immediately I'm turned off. I'm not interested in watching 5 episodes to actually get somewhere good.
Yeah.
Why do I care? This is Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm already like paying money so I don't have to see commercials. This is supposed to get good now.
Well, the other thing is that it's a little different than older shows where the season came out all at once.
Right.
It's not like they, wrote the first few episodes. We're like, what, this isn't working. This person's chemistry is better with this person. The audience is reacting to this. Yeah. This is all at once.
It's a completely different industry. Netflix bought this idea and ran with it. Spent plenty of money on this useless show.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The whole thing you read about the skinny, how it's written for skinny people and it's made to make you feel good or whatever. I get that from these 2 episodes because especially Bob, who is supposed to be like probably our most likable character, right?
Apparently.
He seems like he's supposed to be.
Oh, he's so funny.
I mean, he's certainly the less vile than other people, but he is definitely perpetuating. He's like, I used to be fat and now skinny is magic and all this stuff. So yeah, it does feel like it's perpetuating that idea, but I feel like there has to be another shoe to drop because like the person who made this used to be over. I mean, I guess maybe now she believes that.
But now she's not overweight, so it's all good for her now.
Well, I don't know. I did only a little bit of reading about it, and I know that she, I think, struggled with anorexia or some sort of eating disorder. Yeah. That doesn't necessarily mean that she was fat.
Yeah.
Exactly.
First of all.
That's true. That's a good point.
Doesn't necessarily mean she's not in what I guess is called straight sizes, which are like you can go to the store, any store, and
your
clothes will
fit.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't necessarily have the experience
We don't know
she's
that.
showing
I thought,
here.
okay, so maybe I misread. I thought I had read that she had been like bullied because of her weight, but I might.
She could have been, but who bullied her? Other skinny people? Like all the people in the school? Just the popular kids? Like, was it the size 0s that bullied her? Or was it the size 12s that bullied her?
Right.
Like, it's this narrative is for certain people.
Yeah.
This is not a narrative for everyone who feels overweight or is overweight.
Yeah. I guess my thing is that I just don't think that the premise of the show is innately problematic. I think the show is.
I think given where we are right now, I think in a vacuum, maybe it's not inherently problematic. I'd have to really think about that.
Yeah.
Maybe in a vacuum. Where we are right now in our culture and how we think about bodies, I think it's problematic.
I have a problem using the term problematic. It's such a big term on the internet right now, and it seems to mean everything under the sun.
Yeah.
By problematic,
should we define our...
Yes, because problematic can be anything. Is it that we think the show isn't worth putting on TV? Is it that we think the show is going to harm people? Or is it something else?
Well, that's the thing is I just, again, I'm having this dissonance between what I felt like the trailer was portraying and what the actual show ended up portraying. And I guess the reason I'm having that dissonance is because there was such rage against just the trailer. Yeah. And I, again, didn't the trailer look good, but I felt like it was unwarranted anger from people who hadn't actually seen the show.
I'm very much like that with a lot of things.
Yeah,
you can't judge something without knowing it.
Yeah, and so the thing is, like, I feel like people are like, oh, why don't you just keep her overweight? So, sure. And
also, why not cast an actress who is fat? Yeah. Why continue to use the fat suit, which we know is like a crappy thing to use. It looks dumb. It is dumb. It is harmful. That is something that is inherently harmful.
Yeah, but let me just say, so I understand why people feel that way. First of all, if they kept her fat and she like was on this revenge spree, people would have just as much an issue with that. If they were like, oh yeah, the fat person is now worse than the bullies or whatever. She's bullying the bully. Like,
although
they wouldn't.
I haven't seen that narrative enough that the the victim becomes the perpetrator.
Yeah.
We don't have enough of that. And I want
Sure,
that to happen.
but you know that I'm right, that
course.
people would
Oh,
flip
of
out
course.
about it either way.
Yeah.
But and my feeling is, on the side of creators, that isn't the show that she was writing, and I think that's okay. I don't think she has to kowtow to people saying, "Oh, you should have made a show about a fat person." That's not the story she was writing. She was writing a show about pretty privilege.
She wrote a story about a fat person. She wrote a story about a fat person who lost weight.
Yeah.
She's dealing with someone who was fat 3 months ago and who is now not, right?
Yeah.
So she needs to live with that too. It is about fat people.
Well, my point being, it's not
fatness.
about someone staying fat and learn. A lot of people are like, "Oh, she should stay fat, learn to love herself, blah blah blah."
There's nothing that an audience can say, you should have written this show. This is their
But can
art
we
form,
kind of
it's what
agree,
they've
like,
done.
she shouldn't have written this show?
No, she can write whatever she wants.
She can do whatever she
Netflix
wants.
should not buy it.
Yeah, sure.
Write whatever you want.
I mean, like,
we
say
have
whatever
free
you want
speech.
to.
You can put that online. You can produce that yourself.
No.
You can get anyone to pay for it.
Yeah.
But this is Netflix, one of the most major companies out there producing things.
But like going back to this tweet, it's like yes, exactly, they do because who is it going to make people who do fit a certain kind of image
want to
feel good?
Yeah,
and whether
so I'm not upset at the I'm not upset at the writer.
Is it gonna make them feel good? 'Cause isn't the ultimate thing that they're striving for? I mean, again, we've only seen 2 episodes, but isn't the ultimate thing to be like, fuck all those thin people, I'm gonna burn them all to the ground? Like,
no, I mean, so my thing is, I was telling
that
Clara
seems
earlier.
like what the main character is striving to do is defeat all the skinny
and stay
people.
skinny at all
And stay
costs.
skinny, no
Yeah.
matter what.
She needs to stay skinny in order to succeed to get back at the mean people.
Yeah.
Or else apparently it's not.
Or it won't work anymore because she couldn't have done it without because skinny is magic or not.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't think you're supposed to. They're not saying that in a legitimate way. I'm not saying the humor is funny.
She wrote a story where the device for her character to be able to achieve anything, her superhero trait, is her skinniness. And whether or not she is satirizing that, that's the story that she wrote. That's what she decided to do.
And I don't think that story is an inherently problematic story. I think this show has the thing is, we haven't even touched on the fact that it hits like 1,000 other points that are out of.
I was gonna get there.
Yeah, I mean, it hits like 1,000 other things that are also
Homeless
problematic.
man. That's his character name. Is Homeless Man.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's the joke.
Yeah, that's
He's
funny.
homeless.
Yeah, wow,
he deserves to be lit on fire.
Yeah.
Or die.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
And isn't it funny that he's an alcoholic?
Oh my gosh, so funny.
Pretty funny.
Substance use and substance abuse is
Also,
hilarious, apparently.
Aren't gay people so funny?
Oh my
People are
god,
so
can
funny.
you?
Who knew?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
A man and a man together. Wow, who would have ever thought?
That's so funny, guys. So funny.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I have so many other issues with the show.
Yeah.
I wasn't even paying attention to the fat part of it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, that's the thing is, it wasn't even completely in the center of the story. For the first 2 episodes, it was like, there's all this other crap going. Honestly, I would say that more time was spent on the fact that Bob was an accused sex offender than was spent on the...
I forgot about the sex offender thing. And how he can only spend time with underage girls because it's the only people who understand him, apparently.
Because he's gay.
Because he's gay. Yeah, we've never...
So he can only
Let's
relate to
perpetuate
teenage
that.
girls.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then also, like... Yeah, so maybe that's not a joke, but the fact that his son is sleeping with
His wife.
an older woman.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
His son's sleeping with his wife.
His son's sleeping with the other wife.
Yeah. Who then was the person who accused him of being a molester.
Yeah.
But that is sort of comedic. Haha.
I can't even tell when you're being fake comedic versus real comedic.
I'm never being comedic about this dumb show.
But I liked when the homeless guy said, like, wait, you were in the room? Were you in the closet? Like, because he's gay, maybe?
Yeah, funny.
That was fun. I thought that
joke.
was like, seriously, I was like, you did one. Good for you.
I mean, I think, here's the thing. So, I mean, you talk about, oh, they chose to write this thing. See, to me, the innately problematic premise isn't necessarily her. It's, instead of writing about people who are, like, actually victimized by abuse, I'm gonna write about the guy who was fakely accused and how tough it is for him. To me, that's a choice.
I want that story. I want that story because a lot of men are falsely accused and still have to live with that shame that they don't deserve. That's really important.
I don't want that story. I mean, I understand why you might, but I just...
I think it's important that people know that, like, it's not innocent until proven guilty.
I mean, I guess, but my point is, I don't feel like right now is the time to be like, women lie, don't believe women.
I think it's exactly the time.
Yeah, I see. We just don't agree on
yeah,
that.
it's
Clara,
exactly
where's your point in there?
I think when stories about things that actually happen to people are portrayed in ways that, like, it is actually showing
what
them
they go through
and what they go through, that can be an interesting piece, an important narrative.
Exactly.
So the reason why that could so easily fail is obvious.
Yes.
The reason
clearly.
this is doomed to fail is obvious.
No, exactly.
This was just doomed to fail.
I don't want this writer to write it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the thing is, I can see where you're coming from. I'm not going to say, like, I don't think that idea should exist. I just think, to me, that's more of a worrying thing because I think that...
Because we're not ready for it?
Kind of, because I think that right now, there's a huge section of people who just don't believe women at all anymore. And so I don't feel like that's a... There's also a huge section of people who will always believe women. But my point is, I feel like feeding into that is not something that I want.
The narrative I want is not about who's accusing who. Who, like, what is this person doing accusing someone of something else?
Yeah.
I want the story of what happens to people after they're accused of something.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I just don't know that I want this to be the thing.
Oh, no.
And I mean,
I just think, like, if we're going to tell stories about people whose stories need to be told, like, I don't care about this main character. I care about all these other stories. Like, all these little side characters, I'm like, maybe there's a story there.
Well, the best friend, obviously they mishandle some stuff, but the best friend could have been an interesting main character.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about some of the issues with the best friend?
So the best friend, spoiler alert, guys, because we're all going to watch the rest of the show. She is in love with the main character. So they're best friends, but she has feelings for her friend. And she is so over the top about how sexually attracted she is to her best friend that she never lets up about it.
Well, it's because it's funny, haha.
Haha.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's another one of my sarcastic ha-has.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny that she's attempting to kiss her every chance she gets. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super...
That doesn't, like, feed into shitty things.
I think, so going back just for a second to the idea of, like, talking about people who are accused falsely of sexual assault. Like, we also need more stories of people of survivivors of sexual assault that are actually taking a real view of that. We need actual, like, stories about this same person I follow on Twitter was just writing an article about, like, here are, like, 50 other stories you could tell about fat people that aren't the one story that people tell about fat people. Like, we just don't have enough stories about real things
real people. No.
to keep
doing
like
the same
this
thing over and
drivel
over.
that just feeds into, like, an audience's insatiable desire to feel good
See,
about
again,
themselves.
but that to me is like, I understand saying, oh, we want more of this. We want more of this other type of thing. We feel like these stories need to be told, not that one. But to me, I'm like, that's not really an argument against the show. That's saying that's a separate argument.
Yeah.
That's saying we need more of this. Sure. But that doesn't.
So
but
that
that's
means,
not the story. That's not the story
so
they're telling.
that means anyone can write what they want. Like I said.
Yeah.
Write what you want. Write the same story over again. You can rewrite the Bible. Okay, go for it. Rewrite a whole story about it. I don't know. Change Jesus's name to, like, Phil, and, like, wow, new story you made there.
Yeah.
But there should like, if you're gonna buy that, Netflix, that's my problem, is Netflix bought this.
Well, honestly, here's the other thing. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this was successful.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
no, it's gonna
I was talking to Clara that, like, I had done a cursory glance a few weeks ago at how many views the trailer had versus other trailers that Netflix had recently put out, and it was doing as well, if not better. And even with all this anger about the show, the like-to-dislike ratio was high in favor of like.
Yeah.
And if you look at the comments, mostly from young people, they're excited about the show. Other people are very angry about the show, but there is an equal, if not more.
I need to know more about how this business works, of course. But, like, why don't we make more Netflix shows that bring adults in? I mean, like... Do we really need that teen audience so bad? They make enough money that they matter?
It's not like they don't make shows for adults.
No, I know. But, like, if we're going to make this show, like, making a murderer, like, that's a show.
Yeah.
Netflix bought it. That's cool. Good job. It was horrifying and great. And like,
I mean, the other thing is
Stranger Things. Like people love that.
Yeah.
Is that problematic? I don't. No, people like that one, right? It's good.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, the thing is, we talk about why, as a business, they would pick the show. It makes sense. It makes sense on a business level that they picked the show where Debbie Ryan, a known quantity, is playing this character and she's super hot.
It's cheapening their brand.
Yeah,
it's really cheapening their brand to do this.
Well, that's the thing is their idea is sort of like spray and pray. Just put out as much as you can.
I thought they were very particular about what they put out.
I don't really think that overall they stand for quality anymore. I think they stand for.
I mean, this is the one that's telling me that.
I think they have quality programs, but I don't think overall their brand currently stands for quality.
I thought they were originally, and now I'm starting to question that. So
all you have to do is look at their 6 Adam Sandler movies to like.
Oh God.
Like, but I mean, I'm interested, Clara, if you can. I don't know if you can convince me, but I just want to hear more about why you think the premise itself is innately problematic. Because maybe I'm not giving it.
Well, so again, so I'm not saying if this had been made really well, and this had been made
if it was funny
in a different time period in a different culture,
I
don't know if it was a totally different thing, had a similar premise, and was in a different culture. Maybe it could have been.
It is in a different culture. It's Southern. I know nothing about the Southern culture, Clara. I mean, high society, apparently.
Because my thought process is, do I think that we need this story more than we need a story about someone who's actually overweight? No, but I think that there could have been a way to do a satirical story where you're following this person whose eyes are opened to pretty privilege.
If this was satire,
and says fuck that. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I don't think that that's innately a problematic thing. Yes, it'd be better to have an overweight person, but having someone in it and realizing the extent of pretty privilege.
I think this crosses a line from being just not helpful to being harmful.
Yeah.
This does.
Yeah.
I think it could have maybe only been not helpful because this is not something that like people don't know.
But it's because it's not satire.
I think it's totally a thing that people don't know.
You think people don't think like, some people are bullied because of their weight.
No, but there's a difference between that and pretty privilege. To me, I think there are plenty of pretty people who don't realize their privilege.
But privilege is not just about like people were mean to me. Mm-hmm. Privilege is about like systems and how our systems set up. Mm-hmm. So are they going to talk about, wow, now I can go into a store and buy clothes? Are they going to talk about like now I can go on an airline and I think that's what the show could have been. That's why I think that's why I think the premise itself isn't innately a problematic premise.
It would have been interesting to see that.
Yeah.
Because we don't have that.
That, I guess, could have been. I guess I saw the trailer and was not ever thinking that it was going to be about that. I thought it was going to be,
what's that, from the 80s, Carrie?
Yeah, Carrie.
I thought it was going to be like that. Mm. You know, like she was bullied and now she's going on a murderous rampage.
Yeah, she's like, fuck that. Because that's the thing. The way I interpreted the trailer as far as people being like, Patty's skinny now, holy shit. And her just being like, oh, look how everybody's treating me now. And it reminded me, like, I had a friend who had a coworker who was like, oh, when people are just like really nice to you for no reason and like people just buy you things and all this. And she's like, no, that happens to you because you're like,
Yeah, okay.
Like Clara.
Okay, yeah.
Just happens to Clara.
So that happens to me.
Yeah.
I really don't need I don't need a movie about like, guess what happens when you're pretty and
you
like,
don't.
You don't, but other people do.
The rest of us might.
But I think like
you're woke, right?
Yeah, you're
there
woke.
There are plenty of people like that coworker who don't realize their privilege. And
I think there's something to say.
Okay, then I will retract. I can see how that
would be
could be a narrative.
Yeah.
I still am not.
I think it's not that important.
The problem is like
you could have a coworker tell you don't need a whole show.
Yeah, I agree.
So can I say something that's like a different facet of my identity? Yeah. So like I've become much more observantly Jewish in the last year. Mm-hmm. And so this year for the first time I am going to be like observing Jewish holidays even when they conflict with work events that I would actually really want to go to.
Yeah.
And it's a real bummer to not be able to go to them.
Yeah.
That sucks. But I'm not just like, wow, Christianity is magic. And then like So what about that?
Also,
So
I'm a
what's
little
the
lost
answer?
in this allegory.
No, okay, but so like, so things would think I wouldn't have this problem if I were Christian, because
Yeah.
the holidays you automatically get off,
Yeah.
most of them, the
Yeah.
really big ones.
Yeah.
And the idea that it's like, if there was a movie made and it was like, this Jewish girl converted to Christianity, look at how easy her life became, would be like, what are you talking
That's
about?
the
Like,
Michael
I get,
Jackson story I want.
well, I mean, I
Didn't work
just
out.
like,
Well, I mean, that is the Michael. I mean, you're joking with the Michael
It
Jackson
didn't work.
thing. Yeah, you're joking
But
with
I
the
mean,
thing of
I'm
like,
just
oh,
saying-
you become white and you get white privilege.
I want to say, like, if we just said this about anything, and especially if, like, my test of things is
Yeah.
put race into it.
Yeah.
Does it still
Does it
still work, or is it horrifying at that
Yeah.
point? You know.
Well, yeah. So I mean, yeah. I mean,
I get that, like, for a lot, I think for a lot of people, weight is not the kind of part of their identity that they think about the same way that they think about their religion. It's
Well,
not
for one
a
thing,
forefront
it's
of
not. choice.
It's not your. Yeah.
it's more of a choice.
There's some aspect of choice involved in
Yeah.
it more than there is obviously with race.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm talking. To be clear, I'm talking about choice with religion rather than weight.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about choice with weight.
oh, I see. Yeah,
It's your choice to observe your religion or not. Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I think just saying something and then saying like, see, we're pointing out the fact that some groups have it easier than other groups is
No.
like, wow,
Well,
that's deep.
I don't think
No.
we would have been even remarking on
Like-
that show. It's just some show that shows up in the background, and it's.
But
not
the
for
thing
us.
is, I don't feel like. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like of the privileges, pretty privilege is one of the ones that I hear about the least.
It's true.
And
I
so,
think
like, to me, like, shining a light on that, especially we're talking about, like, the problems with showing this to a young audience, I feel like done well, that could
Done
have
well,
been
it
a
could have
positive
been a thing.
thing for a young audience. Because to us, like, oh, obviously pretty privileged, but I don't know that,
let's stop saying that like the fat people need to learn a lesson. How about we teach people who have pretty privilege a lesson? And that lesson is not that the fat people are going to come murder you.
yeah.
It's not that. It's not that like
Yeah.
you should watch this funny show about this girl who's now in your group.
Yeah.
It's that you guys have a privilege. This is your privilege. This is maybe how you think you feel about it. This is how everyone else thinks
Yeah.
you should feel about it.
Well, the thing too is that. So, on the one hand, we're talking about telling a message, right? But that's separate from the fact that overweight people want representation. So it's like we don't necessarily need to tell a story that teach the fat people, but they still want a hero. They still, and I think that's perfectly reasonable.
Right. But I don't think I mean, I've never wanted that to be a main thing about someone.
Yeah.
I would like to see people. So I would like to see more people that I admire who are not straight sized. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing.
I don't want it to be about them being overweight. I don't want to be like, let's have this whole show
About them
where
being
Jackson
overweight.
has to shop at Avenue. Like that doesn't matter to
Yeah.
me. Like, how about we just make it like they're size 16 and it's not a problem.
I mean,
They're
it's
size
like
18 and
people
not a
talk when they
problem.
talk about gay characters, which like we don't
shouldn't
want
be-
it to just be about them coming out to their parents.
It's not the gay show.
Yeah.
It's like it's just they are gay and that's a thing that they
Yeah.
are. It's not.
Yeah.
Just leave it.
And I think that's sort of the next step in all of this.
That's what I want for everything.
Well, especially if the narrative is, I couldn't find happiness until I was skinny.
Yeah.
Because that is just a narrative. Like that is inherently
That is the
inherently
harmful
bad.
thing. That is
and
the
that
harmful
is
thing
a
here.
part of this
Yeah.
of this program, whether they wanted it to be or not. That is a part of this narrative, and that is what I was trying to think
Yeah.
of. To say,
And I think and
that's a
totally,
problem.
That's
yeah,
the
that's
problem.
totally a problem. I mean, I'm trying to play devil's advocate to a certain degree so that we have a discussion. But otherwise he's just I'm angry. But like one could argue, is she happy now? Like
No,
she doesn't seem to be very happy.
they're not showing it enough. They're really not
Yeah.
showing it enough. They're like every once in a while they're like, but she still wants a candy bar.
Yeah.
And can I switch it over
Yeah.
to gender for a
Yeah.
sec? Because what they're showing is like she's not happy, she's angry.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous and bad. And like we also don't have really very much like I can't think of very many shows that
With
have
angry women.
Women who are allowed to be angry without it being like, now I'm out for vengeance and I'm going to destroy everything.
Yeah.
It's like there's this line, it's this black and white dichotomy that I think a lot of women, including myself, are so afraid of ever showing anger because we're afraid that if we ever do, we'll like end up killing someone. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And that's partially because of crappy media.
Yeah.
Like, it's just annoying. It's just tired.
Yeah. I get that.
And harmful.
Yeah. Now I do wonder, I'm interested in what you guys think. If the message, say I'd stay with an overweight girl, right? And the message was, oh, she needs to learn to love herself and find that her outside is beautiful as her inside and all that
We've
stuff.
also had that narrative.
We've had that quite a bit.
And it's always with like a certain sized woman.
Yeah, so that's my other question is, do you even agree with that message? Because yes, I agree with that message if someone's like barely overweight and they're like struggling with the fact that they there's dysmorphia or whatever, they think that they're more overweight than they are, something like that, then I'm like, that's something that it would be great to deal with and realize that you are fine the way you are. Do you agree with that message with someone like Patty thing?
I would say more like Precious or something, right? That's one of the shows. It's a show or movie.
I don't understand your question.
So is it okay to have a show about someone who is morbidly obese
and say
that's
yourself.
okay, love yourself?
Well, I mean, obviously love yourself, but that's not what we're saying. We're saying stay more like stay the way you are.
Yeah. Is that okay to have those shows? Because a lot of people would argue that it perpetuates unhealthy behavior.
Yeah.
I would say unhealthy behavior is unhealthy. Weight is not necessarily caused by unhealthy behavior. It is not necessarily continued by unhealthy behavior. Some things that can be incredibly unhealthy for fat people to do are like diets that don't work, are just really bad for you. And like in pursuit of what?
Right. So I think there is a place for these shows or movies that say it's okay the way you are.
Yeah.
You're okay. Be yourself and be confident.
Yeah.
But I think there's also a place for saying like, let's all make sure that we're as healthy as we can be.
Yeah.
But don't let that take over your life.
Yeah.
That's the important
so I want to say where I'm coming from with all this, which is that like I struggle with this whole idea, because obviously this is all really tied into like body positivity being like a movement right now. Right. It's always like love the way you are or whatever. And so for me, I mean, I know I'm not a girl, so I know it's different for girls versus guys, but I consider myself someone who has an eating disorder. I consider my father having died due to an eating disorder. So like, to me, like I don't necessarily like think I'm like crazy obese, but like I have an eating problem. And someone telling me, "Oh, just be okay with that. Don't do anything about it," doesn't seem like
I don't think don't do anything about it. Like be comfortable.
Yeah, be comfortable in your own skin. I'm not comfortable in my own skin, and I shouldn't be. I should lose some weight.
Well, but can I say something like, I am not a medical professional.
Yeah.
Jackson maybe can say something
Sure.
Eating disorders are bad. They're disorders. They're called disorders for a reason.
Yeah.
Feeling comfortable in your skin, feeling like your body is somewhere that you feel safe in and comfortable in as a body living on this earth.
Yeah.
Those are different.
Yes.
Right? Like eating disorder bad, body good.
Yeah. It doesn't what the important message is not that your body is unhealthy. Your body is you're doing something wrong to yourself.
But why do I have to be happy with my body? Why can't I just be happy with myself and not be happy with my body?
Your body is you exist in your body.
Yeah, but I don't but that my body isn't me. It doesn't define who I am.
That's good.
Yeah, that to me there's a separation between the two ideas.
A lot of people can't get past that.
And I also want to throw out obviously the fact that certain people's body types are their body types, and that's the kind of thing where it's like, oh yes, learn to love, to accept that about yourself because you know what, that's your body type and it's not going to change.
Right.
But like, I do think there's a separation. I do think I can healthily say I'm happy with who I am as a person, but I am not happy with my body, and I want to change that.
I think there's like a lot of these stories are for people who don't have that separation yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very healthy idea that you can say, my body is not who I am as a person. I don't define myself by my body.
Yeah.
I would like my body to be different, but that's something that I can work on.
Yeah.
And that's a very different statement because that's something that you are working towards, and it's a very healthy view.
Yeah.
That's good. I think a lot of people can't get there yet. And I think those shows are for them to say, like, your body is not who you are.
Yeah, but
your
to me
body may
that's
be uncomfortable.
a more nuanced view than I feel like we usually get from those kinds of stories.
Yeah.
Because talking about the separation is one thing, but you just saying love yourself for who you are feels much more like just keep eating, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And some people it is. Again, it depends on there are extremes here. I don't feel like someone going up to the character that we saw at the beginning of the show and saying, just accept to your body for the way it is necessarily a smart, healthy choice.
Right. There's no show that's going to say, like, let's do an expose of being fat.
Yeah.
It's bad for your health. And then we do, like, a whole, like, satire or dark comedy or, I don't know, a drama about that. That's so boring.
Yeah.
Why do we care about that, like, as a show? I think we're well aware of the medical problems that come with eating incorrectly or not exercising or something like that.
I really think there's a really, really, really harmful idea that your weight and healthy behavior are inextricably linked. And I really think it is very possible for not just show creators, but doctors to get the idea into their heads that you can eat healthy and you can be fat.
Like,
and those things are not mutually exclusive.
Stop using this BMI crap that is completely harmful to young people who hear obese when they're 155 pounds and 5'5".
Well, see, but now
you're obese now.
Yeah,
you're a terrible person.
Yeah, so that's the thing. The word choices and all that stuff, I think, there are certainly people. Issues. But I guess what I'm saying is the type of thing you're talking about to me isn't really the same thing I'm talking about, because you're talking about people who, like, this is just their body type, and that doesn't have to do with their health. So, like, that I'm like, yeah, okay, but that to me that's not someone who's like actually overweight. I'm not talking about people who are like they look hefty. Like, I'm talking about people who are very overweight.
So this is the Precious story, and there was criticism for that.
Yeah, I haven't seen Precious.
Yeah,
but
she's very overweight.
Yeah,
and I don't know the full story, but I know people were very. There's a lot of criticism about, like, oh, so she's supposed to just be that forever? Yeah, that's not healthy for a young girl. Yeah, to be that overweight.
Yeah. But I know what you're saying, and I agree with you that the fact that we link them so heavily is a problem.
Diets fail, I think, 95 to 97%
so it's like a huge,
of the time.
But is that, I mean, I'm actually asking this, is that due to the diet, or is it due to the mental health issues surrounding
most people don't diet with the accompaniment of a medical practitioner. So this statistic is diets in general.
Yeah.
Most people do a diet on their own. They say, oh, I'm going to eat better.
Yeah.
Or I'm not going to eat sugar anymore, and that's my diet.
Yeah.
It's not going to work because you aren't accompanying it with a proper therapy, which, I mean, you need to address your emotional, like, connection to this food, or how are you going to keep doing this? Yeah. No human can just keep doing something because they said they were going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
You know, there's all these other things that come into continuing to do this.
Yeah.
That's why diets fail, is because we just say one day, we're going to eat better. And then 3 months down the line, you have a bad day and you're not going to eat better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay. You can do that.
Yeah.
Like, but if you had a therapist or went to a weight loss management place, they can help bring you back onto the track and keep you on a track that's healthy, but doesn't make you feel like you're failing.
Yeah, well, I also think that at the basic level, it's that people end up doing extreme things that are impossible.
There's a lot of that too.
Continue on.
So the statistic is a lot of that.
Yeah.
I just think there's a lot of messages that we get in our culture that weight is bad.
Yeah.
Heavy bodies are bad. Fat bodies are bad.
Yeah.
And we don't. I mean, that's dumb. It's simplistic.
Also,
simplistic,
especially in America, where we are made of all the cultures in the world. Yeah. Every type of person is here, and you're trying to say that someone with like a body type from Asia is the same as a body type from Africa, is the same as a body type from Northern Europe. These are all different body types, and we come from different DNA that, like, some people need to be heftier, some people need to be skinnier, and that doesn't matter. It doesn't have anything to do with your health. Like, let's pay attention to what actually does have to do with your health. Your cholesterol. things like that. How's your ejection function in your heart? Is your heart beating enough? Is your heart pushing hard enough? Like, that's what matters.
Yeah.
It's really, I think it's dangerous for people of every single weight that so much attention is paid to the obesity crisis, meaning the number you have for your BMI.
I love crises. You know I love crises.
Such baloney.
Oh, the crises.
But so, like, the obesity crisis means they look at your BMI, and if your BMI is in the normal range, they won't talk to you.
You're all set. You're
a healthy person.
You're healthy. You're all
so,
set.
like,
No
I've
problems.
gone to the doctor, and they've said, you're completely healthy. And I say to them, like, look at my blood pressure.
Yeah.
It's actually really low. Why is it this low? My blood sugar is fairly low. Why are both of these numbers this way? And they're like, don't worry about it. And, like, it's annoying. Like, I've been to a cardiologist, and because I have a problem where I get faint really easily because my blood pressure is pretty low. And the answer from the cardiologist was, your heart's fine. Okay, great. This is normal for girls who have who are fairly skinny. And it's like,
That's not a narrative to tell anyone. That's not a medical.
The answer is not your weight is fine, so there's no worry.
Yeah.
When and this, I'm not saying this to perpetuate any sort of like on the other side, like, people also have problems. No, it's actually this is the same problem. This is like weight.
You still have the problem of feeling faint. It doesn't matter what your weight is.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, and also, like, it's really obnoxious to go in and for their whole idea of health to be fixated on a BMI, which we know.
Yeah. I have been a paramedic for a few years, and I am no longer a paramedic because I hurt my back on the job.
Yep.
Well, not on the job. Sort of near the job.
Sort of near the job.
Job adjacent.
Job adjacent back injury. Yeah, let's call it that. I went to the doctor when I hurt my back, and, they took a look. They tried to help me a little bit, but they weren't really interested in helping me for some reason. Won't get into that part. I'm trying again now to get some more help for my back. I went to the doctor, and instantly, well, you should lose some weight. I said, no, I'm not here because I need to lose weight. I've lost 30 pounds this year. I'm not here for that. I'm here because my back is still injured.
Yeah.
And I need help with that. So let's not focus on that. Let's focus on the fact that I have a actual injury in my back. Like, I'm losing weight. I'm fucking working on it.
Yeah, and I feel like so even the people who, I mean, even when it seems like it might make sense to say, obviously it doesn't make sense in your case, but like for people who it might make sense to say that to, they don't come about it as a way of like, oh, here's some like resources. I understand that it might be really difficult. I understand your body type. I understand this might be a mental connection. Really nice. You know, like I'm, not to say that no doctor does that, but
if they were interested in health and not interested in making sure that all bodies conformed to a certain appearance, they would tell me to watch my cholesterol.
Yeah.
And they don't.
Mean, but it's like
some do.
I'm sure there's good doctors out there, but I haven't really. I've experienced a few, and in the medical profession, I've seen them working. I've seen them. I just haven't experienced them myself, I guess.
All right. Is there anything else about the actual show that we want to hit on before we end out?
No. I don't like the show so much that I didn't even know what I was going to talk about here.
Yeah.
It's just so poorly made.
Yeah.
It's just bad.
See, this is the thing. I enjoy when things like this happen because even if the show itself is a problem, it really does open up dialogue between people who are more intelligent than the problem. And not,
And I mean, we're not even the intelligent ones. We're just some people talking about things we might know something about.
No, I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about all the articles and everything.
But it's like we get to talk about it. They talk about it. We learn from something from them, and like people can learn from us. We can learn from comments that it's nice to have.
And that's
that
the thing.
dialogue.
I mean, this is a whole other can of worms, but that's for me why I think 13 Reasons Why was a positive.
I want to see that.
I think it led to so many discussions that wouldn't have happened otherwise. Right. It is a whole other can of worms.
Yeah, exactly.
Do we want to throw out one or two more things about why we think the show itself is so bad beyond maybe the message, but like
it's not funny. It's not funny, and they try so hard.
They don't all have Southern accents sometimes. Like they go back and forth between having Southern accents and not.
There's so much of the humor is about this underage shit. And
I
I'm
forgot
like,
to talk about that. I feel like
there was
I feel like
so
we didn't
much.
talk about
There
that.
was so much about the underage shit, and I'm like, again, like I'm not against there being jokes about underage stuff. Like I'm not against that idea as a general idea.
Sure,
I don't.
yeah.
It's hard to do it well, and most of the
Right.
time they'll fuck it up.
Yep.
But like this was like so all in.
All in.
So all
they
in.
were like, you know what's funny? You know what's really funny? Pedophilia.
And someone
I
else...
should have hung out with James Gunn.
Oh, boy. Someone, I don't remember which article it was, but they were pointing out also, like, the fundraiser in the first episode is for anal cancer.
Oh, anal
I
cancer.
missed that. Yeah.
Like, it's just...
Oh, the ribbons were brown.
Oh, that's a good one.
Like, it's just... Come on.
Juvenile.
Yeah,
It's juvenile.
it's very
It's
simplistic.
and it's juvenile in a way that, like...
Make that joke in an elementary school show, and like, you can make the funny poop jokes on Nickelodeon. This is supposed to be for teenagers and adults.
I mean,
thought.
I think the thing that makes me, and I think like most people, more angry about the humor on the show is that they're trying to hide behind the idea of, oh, it's black comedy or it's satire. You know, it's just bad jokes. Like,
dumb.
I'm not. It's not like
I
I'm
know
not
a lot of
seeing
bad
beyond
jokes.
the.
I know
like,
a lot of bad jokes,
Yeah.
and like they're funnier than this.
Yeah.
It's bad jokes at the expense of people whose, like, actual physical well-being is harmed by saying stupid jokes.
Yeah. Yep.
Like...
Yeah. Let's keep telling racist jokes. Let's keep telling jokes about people who can't help
Yeah.
what they are. Like, let's,
I am fascinated
Yeah.
to see if they ever. I wouldn't be shocked if they eventually actually address the fact that Bob's son is with an older woman, and
they will.
but
and
like
it would be so funny.
the thing is, even if they like eventually get to a positive message with that, you get through so many jokes before it that does it matter where it ends?
Well, here's the thing.
Like-
If they want this show to be pedantic, they fucked up from day one.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't want it to be, then it's a crappy, crappy show with really no room for evolution at all. And either way, it sucks.
And either way, it sucks. What do you think about the show? Do you love it? Tell us why in the comments down below.
I really want to hear from people who do really like the show.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah,
'cause
give us your counter
It's not my
argument.
thing, and I
Yeah.
want to know who the people are who like it, because I don't. Maybe I just don't know you.
So yeah, I'd love to hear from people. If you have an argument, you did like the comedy, you found things that you felt were positive in this show, and you just disagree with our statements, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to engage with you in the comments. So let us know, and let us know what other things you'd like us to talk about in the future. Thanks so much for watching, and
Bye.
bye.